Okay, here we are. We are going through the last week of the life and the ministry of Jesus. Holy Week, as it's known in some circles. We might as well call it Holy Week. And it goes from Sunday to Sunday. And so we've been going day by day what's happened here. And we found on Sunday, Jesus came down the Palm Sunday road. Monday, he cleanses the temple. Tuesday, he's into all kinds of teaching, big, long teaching day, a lot of interaction with the religious leaders. They're trying to trap him. He answers every question well. His disciples ask him some questions, particularly about the end of time, when these things will happen. Jesus goes into a long discourse on that. We can read about it in Matthew 24. We read about it in Mark 11. And so now we are moving into this part where in chapter 14, verse 1, it says, "Now the Passover and festival of unleavened bread were only 2 days away." So that was the Tuesday. And so it would be on Thursday. And so now we're in chapter 14, verse 12. It starts to get a little confusing here. And I hope you can follow the logic, because traditionally, the holiday of Good Friday is when they say that Jesus was crucified. But it says that Jesus would be 3 days and 3 nights. It's a little difficult to make that happen when you're going from Friday to Sunday. Now, people say, well, yes, but the way that their day was different. Our day starts, kind of amazing, isn't it? Now, our day starts at midnight. Oh, what a time for a day to start, really. I mean, it really is the middle of the night. I mean, the day should start in the morning. And so it is with the way that they celebrated it every day, starting in the Bible. It would start 6 o'clock in the morning, so the sixth hour would be noontime. Makes sense that it would start in the morning. But anyway, be that as it may, and it gets hard, right, to start figuring out the days and the hours and, what day was that and when does that begin. And so here's where we are. Chapter 14, verse 12. Here's what's happening. On the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, so it's the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when it was customary to sacrifice the Passover lamb, okay, Jesus' disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go and make preparations to eat the Passover? Where should we do this?" And Jesus said, "Well, go into the city and you'll see a man carrying a jar of water and he'll meet you. Follow him and say to the owner of the house as he enters, 'The teacher asks, where's my guest room, that I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' And he'll show you a large room upstairs, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us there." So Jesus seems to have already set this up, the place that he's going to go have the Passover with his disciples in Jerusalem. But it's the first day, because what it tells us in Exodus, the first Passover, and you find that in Exodus chapter 12, what you find on Exodus chapter 12, verses 18 and 19, is that the Passover always fell on the 14th of Nisan. That's just the day it would fall on. Now, we have holidays that seem to move around a little bit, right? And different nations have holidays that move around a little bit. But most holidays are just fixed, right? That Christmas is December 25th and 4th of July is 4th of July. Easter moves around, right? And Good Friday moves around the way that we do our calendar. So for them, on the 14th of Nisan, that's when the Passover is, whatever day that would fall on, right? Throughout the course of the years. Well, also, after the Passover, it's followed by a high holy day or a high Sabbath day. And these are different than the weekly Sabbaths. Because what if it fell on a Tuesday? They would still have a Sabbath that week, right? When Saturday rolls around, it's still the Sabbath day. Regardless of when the Passover falls, what day of the week it falls on, Saturday is always going to be the Sabbath. So it falls on the 14th of Nisan. And then it's followed by this high Sabbath day. And those are different than the regular Sabbath. And in the year that Jesus was crucified, the high Sabbath day was on a Friday, which you learn that from John chapter 19. Thus, there were back-to-back Sabbaths. There's back-to-back Sabbaths. There's the Passover, and then there's back-to-back Sabbaths. Passover, Sabbath day, Sabbath day. So both Friday and Saturday are Sabbath days. So makes sense when we start to get into the crucifixion. So here we are right now on this day. And where do you want us to go? And so he sends his disciples, and they found a house. And the disciples left, and they went into the city, and they found the things just as Jesus told them. So they prepared the Passover. And when evening came, Jesus arrived with the 12. And while they were reclining at the table and eating, they didn't have chairs like we have chairs. They would have low tables, and they would recline and sit on the floor. Jesus said, "Truly, I tell you that one of you will betray me." Well, who is this? This is Judas. On Wednesday, he's going to betray him. And they were saddened, and one by one they said to him, "Surely you don't mean me." "Not me, I would never do that." And he said, "Well, it's one of the 12, and the one who dips his bread into the bowl with me, the Son of Man will go just as it was written about him. But woe to the man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he were not born." Wow, that's a pretty serious statement. While they're eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, it's the word Eucharist, he broke it and he gave it to his disciples. So God, thank you for the bread, and he gives it to his disciples. And he says, "Take it and eat, this is my body." Well, this is going to be the institution of what we call the Lord's Supper or communion or the Lord's table. Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to his disciples, and he said, "This is my body." And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. They all did. So it's a common cup. We don't do that much with communion anymore. Some of the liturgical churches will still do a common cup. COVID changed a little bit of that, but they did it. So they took a cup, and given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. And he said, "This is the blood of the covenant poured out for many. And truly I tell you that I won't drink again from the fruit of the vine until the day I drink it with you in the kingdom of God." So he's talking about the future, that there's going to be the marriage supper of the Lamb when everybody will be together, and Jesus will be there, and he will share the cup with us then. And then they sung a hymn, and they went out to the Mount of Olives. Well, there's a number of hymns in the Psalms. They call them, these songs of ascent, and certain songs for certain times of the year. There were songs that they would sing around the Passover, just like there were songs that we sing around Christmas, and then there would be songs that we sing for New Year's, right? We have our New Year's songs. We have, 4th of July songs. And so they sang a hymn, and they went to the Mount of Olives. Now, they don't have any accompaniment. There's not a bunch of people following with electric guitars and drum kits and keyboards. So somebody led them, and I like to surmise that it was Jesus that was leading them in the singing of the hymn as they were going to the Mount of Olives. And Jesus predicts Peter's denial. He says, "You'll all fall away. I'll strike the shepherd and they go," but Peter denies it. And he said, I won't do that. It won't happen with me. That's not what's going to happen to me at all. That's not me. And Jesus said, "Listen, I'm telling you that you're going to deny me." And so he talks about the Passover. He talks about the Lord's Supper. We'll just read we got a little bit of a minute here. We'll read a little bit out of Matthew chapter 26 here with what's happening. Verse 17, again, he tells us to betray the one who dips his hand in there. Matthew goes on with a little bit more. They go to Gethsemane in verse 36, the wine press, the olive press. And he said to them, "Sit here while I go and pray." And he took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee with him, Peter, James, and John. He goes there and prays. His heart is troubled. He said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow. Watch with me." And he prays to God, and he says, "If it's possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. Let this cup be taken from me, yet not what I will, but what you will." Meaning, is there any other way to work salvation? Is there any other way for humanity to be reconciled to God? There's not. Only the cross. Only the cross. And so we move on, and tomorrow we will be there on the day of Thursday.